So now, almost for sure, everybody can hear
Yeah.
us. We're not running any music. We're going to be talking about, in a minute, you'll see us, and we're going to be talking about solving business problems.
That's what we do.
And creating just like more
creating
success.
Creating new problems.
Out of
I was
thin
going to
air.
say. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, every solution, right?
It's just another problem.
A new level of problems.
Yeah.
We should start by admitting that right off
Yeah.
the bat.
What's up, Facebook?
What's up?
There we go.
It's
We're on.
we're on. We're going to be going in and out of the shot because our producer is not here today. We're doing this on our own.
Yeah.
So a couple things before we really get started, just while everybody's joining us. This little thing, which I haven't turned off yet,
Your entry band.
because I was at a barbecue competition, and there were 4,000 people and only one place to get barbecue, so there was anger. But the guy running it I knew, and he'll probably have a post-mortem and figure out that they should have more than one place people could get food.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable.
How about you guys? What were you doing today?
What was I doing?
Babysitting.
We went to Classic Diner.
Wow, Classic Dining.
Classic Diner.
Did they do a
when
good
you-
job on your egg? The Westchester one?
No, the Fraser one. And they did. They do a good job there, generally. So if anybody here is not from the Westchester area, you can get their bacon through QVC, I discovered. They sell their bacon through QVC.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. It's worth it.
I think they sell a Smithfield product.
Do
It's
that.
private label because I saw Paula Dean in there a couple of times
Okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
You
Pretty
can't
cool.
have bacon. Right? So.
I can.
You could, but it
But
wouldn't
I
be.
shan't.
But it depends if he wants to go back into the cycle of rebirth.
That's right.
been trying to get out of it so many times.
So you were here last night till 1 a.m.
Yeah.
watching the fight.
Yeah.
Anything that the viewers need to know before we launch into today's topic?
Nothing that he didn't predict beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're on
made
the
a
money.
fair prediction, right?
Yep.
Conor McGregor would gas out.
And he
And
went
Mayweather
longer.
would
McGregor went longer than we thought.
Yeah.
But what we thought happened.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Mayweather just looked like he had been out for like a gentle Sunday stroll.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
He showed like what looked like tired a couple times, like around 7, 8, but that apparently
It was a mixture of like tiredness and annoyance.
and impatience.
Like, why is this guy still standing?
All right, everybody. Here's what we're up to today. We're privileged to be here with Pat Flynn. This guy, Samnath Siktar, you know. I'm Dave Fries. We own 3 very different kinds of businesses.
Yes,
Most
we
of us are involved in multiple businesses, I guess. Is that true for you, Pat?
This is true.
Yeah.
This is
I
true.
know it's true for you.
Yep.
True
Yeah.
for me. So what we're going to do today is show you a little bit of how the sausage is made. So today was not one of those heavily researched and advanced shows because we want you to see how we do it. But we all get together and we all either in formal masterminds or something simple like we get together for coffee and do this. We probably each have go-to folks that we bring in and talk to about this. But
Yep.
this is all about the business DNA and cross-pollination. So what we're going to do is show you how when we talk about things that are working in our businesses, which are in very different kind of industries in a way. You guys are a little closer than mine.
Right.
We all run masterminds too. You run a mastermind?
Well, with some intermittently.
Yep. Okay. And so we're just going to talk about, we can talk about any of these businesses, but what's working, and then we want to see how we can make that work for each of, for one another. And then anything that's not working, we're going to see if there's a solution, like have any of us run into it before. And the audience is welcome to leap in with questions.
Yep.
Some, in the absence of producer Leslie, I think is going to keep an eye
I'm
on.
gonna try to keep tabs.
Do we have folks joining us yet?
Steve Richardson joined us to tell
Hey,
us
go
that he
Steve.
would not be joining us.
What's up, Steve?
that's
and
very polite,
goodbye.
Yeah. And does he say what he's doing?
He says he can't. Oh, he has a honey-do list.
Uh-huh.
But he's waiting for the notebook video.
Oh, well, the more he pesters me about that, the longer
The longer
it's
he's
take.
going to have to wait.
Yeah. I haven't shot the notebook video yet. I mean, I haven't edited. I have a bunch of stuff that's got to be edited in cool, but I did outline it. I could send him the all my notes because he did win, and I did send him the notebook. So
Yeah.
he does
Yeah.
have that. Now he's waiting because he doesn't want to fill it the
Without
wrong
the
way.
instructions. Yeah, that's understandable.
So we should probably start by saying, too, that we have that tactical flashlight that we're giving away from the Go Bag show last week, which was awesome. So if anybody, I don't know if we froze up there or not, but if anybody...
I think we're still running.
Still running? Good.
Yeah.
If anybody would like to win a tactical flashlight, or the second prize we have is Tim Ferriss's Tools of Titans book. All you got to do is just let Sam or me or Leslie know, just put something in the comments or message us and let us know that you gave us a review on iTunes for the podcast, or share this video.
That's right.
And
That's fair.
Yep, and then
Share
we'll enter
a
you.
review of more than 4 stars.
And then that's
We don't want to beg for the 5 stars. There's a tacit implication there.
But Sam has said about that when I asked him, like, should we remind people to do 5 stars? He said it's not necessary because it would be sort of like dirty to do anything else.
Right.
So I don't know. Our audience doesn't seem like that.
They're not dirty.
No.
They're with the program. So let's get started. And Pat, since you're here, just tell everybody a little bit about your business first.
Sure.
And then maybe pick one thing that in one aspect of your business or one of your businesses is working really, really well that we might not be using, and we can talk about.
Sure. Well, I am a direct response email marketer, and the thing that's working really well for me is direct response email marketing.
Astonishing.
I mean, go figure, right? So I have a pretty minimalist business. I'm in the fitness space. My website is chroniclesofstrength.com. I have a tier of products and services that I offer, everything from intimate services like coaching to membership sites, monthly recurring type of things, to one-time programs, courses. So you can imagine a hierarchy.
Live programs or all web-based stuff?
All web-based. So
Yep.
everything I do is entirely digital. I do have books, published books, but those are pretty negligible.
Yeah,
source of-
that's true. We neglected to remark upon that. But tell us a few of your titles, because you're published with some...
with Wiley.
publishers
So I
in
have
America.
3 for Dummies books out.
Mhm.
But we were talking about income generators. For anyone who wants to publish a book, don't think publishing is the way to.
No, and
riches.
your books sell a lot of books.
They do.
So-
My books have moved quite a volume, and you can tell because they've lasted for more than 2 weeks.
Yes.
And any for Dummies any book that is on the shelf for more than 1 year, you can usually assume is selling pretty well. So they've done very well, but just that's just the nature
You won't
of
put those
publishing.
kids of yours through school with the royalty check.
No, so I think it's important to remember that you get published, that it's an attention asset, right? Between like author royalties and advances and stuff like that, I get my checks every now and then, but I'm just glad that I never relied on publishing books to make my income. So it's an important part of the overall sales process. People will discover my books primarily Amazon. I've had definitely people pick them up in the bookstores as well. And it's one way that people will discover me, and they will get onto my email list, and then from there, become a customer in other ways.
So let's talk about this, because I think one of the reasons that you are so successful at what you do is you have a really good handle on who the audience is.
Yeah.
So who is the audience, and is the audience the same for that range of products and services, or does it vary?
It varies, and I have it somewhat segmented, but generally, the type of person I'm going for is the busybody who's looking for. They're already into exercise, so I think that's something that is an important distinction. I'm not the person who typically starts people out exercising. I consider myself an interceptor. I find people who are already into exercising. They usually have the habit already, and they're looking for a more effective or efficient way of doing things.
So let's stop you, because that is a gigantic meta strategy, and we benefit from this too, although this is a reminder for us. But, it's really hard to get the car going from 0 to 25 and pretty easy to get the car going from 25 to 50. So your strategy of interceptor is identify a market where people have already built a habit.
Exactly.
And then you're going to shift them to making you part of that.
And not just build a habit, but they've already spent money on that habit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come in and I show them a better way of doing it.
So the other thing is, equates to something that I do. I market to people in their 50s and 60s who've already decided, like, hey, my friend died and it was a disaster. I have to do estate planning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to convince them that they have to do estate planning, which is hard. They've already come to that conclusion.
Yes.
You don't have to convince them they should exercise. They've actually spent, and you've also identified this. They know they have an issue. They're now doing something about it, and they have the ability and desire to pay for it.
Yes, and they're excited about it.
And that's
also.
when you come into the picture right there. You're not doing all of that, which is hard work.
Yes. So, within that, I'm typically the person, my whole brand is minimalism. So I'm the guy who will show you how to get from A to B with the least number of inputs possible. And around that, I've really kind of built a niche with kettlebell training.
So who is naturally drawn to the minimalist? Like, is there a age demographic or a geographic bias or a male or female bias in your business?
My business is about 60-40 female to male.
Mm-hmm.
And they're definitely on the type A side, right? So they are people who are seeking effectiveness in what they do. And I'm very clear with that appeal with minimalism, is it doesn't mean we'll be doing very little. Depending on if you have some big goals, you still have to do a lot of work. It means we're just going to really focus on not wasting any effort. But at the same time, I think that I definitely attract people who don't have all that much time to work out. So a lot of my programs and things do revolve around, hey, you only have 15 to 20 minutes. You want to get the best workout in that amount of time.
Right. So are most of your clients working age? They are
working
age bias?
Yeah. When I could do Facebook advertising, if you're under the age of 25, you're not even in my demographics.
But
so I think that's a good point. There's a lot of clarity with what you have is who you want, but who you don't want.
Yes.
Right? You don't want noobs. You don't want people under the age of 25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Noobs, you said.
Noobs.
Yeah.
No, we don't want noobs. Noobs are fine because they get newbie gains and it's all wonderful and everything, but they're not typically my audience. My audience is people who've not only got started, but they've also usually gotten started specifically with kettlebells as well. And then that's when I come in.
So what about retirees at the other end of that bell curve of age?
Yeah, typically no.
So you're looking at like 25 to 45?
The average age range is right around there. It's really kind of more like 30 to late 40s.
Okay, good. But which goes to probably ability and desire to pay. The drive is that they're working, so they need something that's minimal.
Yeah, and I have a few that kind of fall, as outliers, of course, as you would expect. But
so you've done something that everybody that's watching should do, which is get real clarity about who it is that's most attracted to yours. And as Sam says, you've clarity about who it isn't.
Well, yeah, and a lot of that wasn't necessarily because I sat down and figured that out to start. I refined it as I went, and I discovered through much trial and error and just the tediousness of the process of who was my ideal customer and who wasn't.
But you paid attention to that, which
I did.
Most people don't do. Like, we all just take a stab at it. Well, if we're thinking about this the right way, we take a stab at it. And we're almost always wrong.
Almost always.
Well, we take a stab at, like, who is this? And then we take a stab simultaneously at what's the value proposition? What can we say to them that would be an honest, magnet to bring them into us that's attractive to them?
Well, I'll give you a good example. When I first took a stab at it, I thought that I did want to be the person who introduced people to kettlebells. But over time, I found out that was a mistake. My job should be to find the person who's already into kettlebells and show them a better way of using them.
So I'm curious, do you have any insight into who it is that they really find out about kettlebells from?
Well, YouTube primarily.
YouTube, right.
YouTube is a big one, and a lot of them do find out kettlebells from me, which is the fun thing. Is like, I found your article, or I found your book, or I found you on YouTube, so they can still get started with me, even if my intention wasn't for them to get started with me. But then when they really become my customers after they've already gotten started. So ideally, in the perfect scenario, I am the one because I have so many different attention assets out there. You can get people started on that because they discovered me on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or one of my books. But when it's time to work with me or to become my customer, you have already gotten started. Meaning, I don't sell getting started programs or a level of coaching. When it comes to coaching, it's like you already have, and I'm very clear about that. I'm not a babysitter for adults. Like, you have to be committed to this, and if you're coming to me, you're looking for a process.
Now, so you said you're mostly selling this by email, direct response marketing.
Yes.
But if a lot of people find you on YouTube, have you ever experimented with YouTube advertising? Like, I've seen a kettlebell program, and there are ads at the start of it. So
I haven't done YouTube direct to sales page, if that's the question. I do a lot of YouTube to opt in to sales page.
okay,
So
okay.
in a roundabout, and that's just my general experience has been that I always get better conversions that way because I have tried direct to sales page on a number of platforms, not YouTube yet, and I don't think it's. I'm not going to not do it just because I haven't had success with it before, because I had an interesting conversation with somebody who has tremendous success doing that, where they will just do a YouTube video it's very content heavy, but it's essentially a long form sales page. And at the end, they just drive them right to buy. And they tell me it's working phenomenally. And if somebody tells you something, it must be true.
It must be true.
But for me, I have always had better success getting them on the email list first. And YouTube is one of the places I do that. I was just talking to Sam. I'm about to start doing YouTube ads. It's funny because I've had more success growing YouTube videos, running Facebook ads to YouTube videos than YouTube ads to Facebook. It's just one of those things. But somebody, after having a few conversations with people, they said the advertising on YouTube has gotten a lot better. I honestly probably haven't spent money through Google Ads in over a year. So I'm going to start testing it again. And I do want to start testing straight to sales pages, but right now it's just YouTube gets them on the email list.
Yeah, so let's just break that down for people that are watching, because anybody watching who isn't doing this process that you're talking about could. So you're basically saying there's a number of ways that people could get on my list. They could watch a YouTube video, which drives them to a landing page, in which you say, hey, are you interested in this, that, or the other thing? If you are, you have them opt in.
Yes.
That's what gets them on the email list, which is then that triggers your process.
It does, yeah.
To start to educate them and to sell them.
Well, yeah, and that's, I'm sure something we'll talk about too, is generally, depending if you're coming onto my email list, you are going right into a sales funnel.
Yep. So the ways that they could get there are infinite, of course, but you've mentioned a couple. You could drive them there by showing them a Facebook ad.
Yeah, so my biggest drivers for my email list is just direct Facebook advertising is by far number one. After that, organic content across social platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook are the top three. Twitter's worthless. It's never been useful for me. Maybe I'm just not good at Twitter or whatever.
Or it could be a mismatch with that demographic.
Right. Yeah, and it's just, there's so much noise.
Because we know people that are doing very well with YouTube advertising. We know people that are doing really well with, just Google AdWords. And you and I use Facebook a lot to drive traffic and opt-ins. But people come to us and say, well, which one should I do? And the answer is, of course, it depends.
Yeah.
And it's where you've tested and see what works for your niche.
Yeah. And I did, I'll be honest, I didn't test Twitter as effectively as I probably could have. But I think part of that is because I was just getting so much early success on Facebook that I just kind of went all in on those and ignored Twitter largely. I think Twitter's really good for networking as a side note. I think it's a good way to build relationships in an easier way. But going back to the opt-ins, so I have my social platforms, big three would be Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I have direct response advertising primarily through Facebook. I will test a few things here and there, but Facebook just does so well. And then I have my books.
And they also drive to...
They do, yeah. Wiley was gracious enough to let me make a few mentions, and sometimes publishers won't let you do that, but they let me, mention my website and email list, and that does attract people.
So I think this would be useful for, we do what you're doing, but you could always learn something, and it'll be useful for people who maybe aren't building email lists to understand the value of it. So when they get to that landing page, you're telling them, I've got some more information for you about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
To get it, you have to give me something. So I'm curious, what are you offering them? What do you make them give you? And then tell us a little bit about what happens once they're in.
Yeah, well, there's two that do really well for me. The first one that I've been using for almost 5 years now, and it's still doing just as well, if not better than it ever has, is my 101 kettlebell workouts compendium. So imagine somebody's getting into kettlebells, and now I'm offering 101 free workouts. That's pretty enticing, right? And so I think the biggest thing that you have to do when you're coming up with your opt-in is make it a no-brainer. Like, so if somebody's just getting into kettlebells, they're excited, and you're like, I have 101 of my best kettlebell workouts. It's yours free. Just put in your email. That's done exceptionally well for me. My second one is called my 5-day kettlebell fat furnace, and it's a 5-day. It's a micro challenge. It's a 5-day challenge using high intensity kettlebell complexes.
But focus more on weight loss. It's more on fitness.
Yeah, it's more on general fitness, but I definitely have the heavy emphasis on weight loss. I would say the primary problem that people come to me to have solved is fat loss. Is by far fat loss is the number one issue that people want solved, and they found that kettlebells can give them a really effective workout for that in a short amount of time. So then I base everything that I do, whether it's 101 workouts or this 5-day kettlebell fat furnace, it's just 15, 20-minute workouts, just 5 days in a row.
So two things about that. One is you really successfully identified two problems that people have. They're interested in kettlebells already. Mm-hmm. They want fitness, but they don't have workouts. So they don't feel like I could put it together.
Yes.
So you're playing right into that. And then another major driver problem is, I want to lose weight, and I'm going to do kettlebells to do it. So you've got this thing that entices them with the furnace idea.
The furnace.
Yeah.
The furnace. And I think that I think that's an important thing. Is a lot of people talk about niches and like you're in the kettlebell niche. I really don't think that's how I market my business. My business is you focus on a problem that people have, and you come up with a unique way of solving it. And the problem that I solve fundamentally is fat loss. And the unique way that I help people solve that is through minimalism and kettlebells. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important concept starting out. Is if you focus on entering a niche, I think that can be pretty hit or miss. But if you can focus on a problem that people are actively paying to have solved, something like fat loss, it's a multi-billion-dollar. If you can't make money in fat loss, it's your fault. Mm-hmm. It's just God help you, right? But like if you enter a niche like basket weaving, I don't know what to tell you. So that's been my approach, and the more clear I've been on that approach, the more successful I've been, because then everything that I focus on the marketing side is like, all right, how can I appeal to somebody who's, you think of like their acid reflux problem, right? What keeps them up at night? How can I appeal to them in a unique way to make, have them want to choose to do business with me?
So now the second part of that question is, they land on that page, you're asking them to give some information. The prevailing wisdom is the less you ask for, the more people you're going to have just opt in and say, I want that thing you're offering me, Pat. And that the more you ask for, the fewer people will opt in, but the higher quality they'll be as leads, meaning that down the road they're more likely to buy. So how minimalist are you on the request for information, and is that your experience?
Yeah, name and email. That's it.
Name and email.
Name and email. That's it. I know a lot of people do email, but when I write my emails in the Futuresoft, I like to put their name in there. Mm-hmm. I think that's important. I mean, the most powerful word in marketing is using somebody's name. The second word is you after that. So if you can get their name, I think it's worth it.
But you're not asking, for example, for a mailing address to send them some...
No. With what I'm doing with Spencer, we talk about later, we do, because we send them protein. Mm-hmm. But for my business specifically, no, just name and email.
So let's talk about that. You have a partner who I know, Dr. Spencer Nadowski. Mm-hmm. You guys have a protein, basically it's a company that's selling a nutritional supplement.
Yes.
And there, you gotta have the address to send them the thing.
Yep.
So if we could pause on the other one for just a second, is it in fact your experience that if somebody's looking for protein powder, that you think fewer of them are opting in because you're asking for the address? So the way you would solve that, if that was a real bad problem, is you'd start by saying, if you want to report on protein, give me your first name and your email address. And then you would get more people and then narrow it to getting them.
Yeah, so it's a hard problem because one, protein is essentially a commodity. It's hard to differentiate protein, so we didn't try to do that. Rather, we focused on Dr. Spencer, who's a jacked medical doctor, and coming up with...
constantly tearing his shirt off.
The guy wears... just don't stay on him.
He doesn't wear clothing. I don't know if he has the same problem with his pants.
Medication for his allergies to clothes. And I'm sure we'll watch this. But so what we do...
Hey, Spencer.
So we won't talk too much trash for too long.
He's not wearing the shirt. Yeah. He'll be watching it without a shirt on.
He gets it, though. So, what we do is the same type of thing. We focus on the problem of fat loss, and we come up with a unique solution to do it. So I have my 5-day kettlebell fat furnace. He's got his 5-day fat flush. Right. Dr. Spencer's 5-day fat flush, and it's based off of a lot of the stuff that he does as a specialist in obesity medicine. So, I mean, he's pretty much as high as you can get as somebody who knows about how to help people lose weight. And he's also really in great shape himself. Got a strong platform as well. So what, we sell the program, but with the program comes the protein. Yeah. So that's our angle of approach there, and that's been very effective so far because, there's only so many ways you can differentiate a protein, but it's very easy to differentiate a program based around somebody like Dr. Spencer. And then, oh, hey, you get the program, or we can get our starter kit. We have this protein that we designed from scratch. And
so you're focusing on indoctrinating them first,
yes,
before trying to push the product on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you've got them into a funnel, or you're communicating with them where they've just opted in for information before you're asking them for more information on a landing page for the program.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yep.
Okay, so for everybody listening, they're kind of doing what we're saying here, which is
it's going to be a big sausage by the time we're done with this. Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that big sausage remark.
Oh, that's just a tip. This is just the tip of this big sausage right now at this point. Yeah.
We have we do not have the explicit rating, so I think we're still okay.
Yeah, we'll see if we can earn it. Yeah, we'll see if we can earn it.
Some people might be hopping off.
I'm surprised that you guys haven't earned it.
We have controlled ourselves.
We have been very purposeful.
We did have guns on the show last week. So, okay, so here we are. We're up to the third part of the question about that, which is, I opt in. I say, I am interested in that. I am interested in your minimalist approach.
Yes.
Now something happens to me, and you're using automation, because I heard you mention Infusion. So Infusion is a CRM on steroids that lets you do a whole bunch of stuff. And you're going to use it. Describe how you use that and what it does to the person that's now said, hey, I want to know more.
Okay, so there's two funnels here. There's the mine, which is the kettlebell one, and there's the one I'm doing with Spencer. And I think if we look at mine as a much more basic and I think would be approachable funnel for most people who are just starting out. And then we can talk about what I've layered on top with the one I'm doing on Spencer, which is a little bit more.
And when we say funnel, we just mean kind of a process of giving them information they need to make decisions, then asking them to make decisions, and possibly that decision is to buy, but at some point it certainly is asking them to buy something.
Yes, a funnel is a sales process. That's all it is, a digital sales process. So in my funnel, they come in and they opt in for the 5-day kettlebell fat furnace. And then what happens is they get 5 days worth of workouts and nutrition over the 5 days. So this is what we would call kind of, I guess, a results in advance sales funnel, where the idea is...
Because they're not paying for this.
They're not paying for this. This is free. And it comes, there's the sales psychology. There's really 3 ways to impress somebody if you want them to buy something. One, you can tell them that it's good yourself, which is okay, but kind of weak. You can have somebody else say that it's good, a testimonial, which is much better. Or you can give them a test drive and have an experience, which is the most powerful motivator to buy.
Which is your way of doing demonstration. Like
exactly.
I always call that whole category of letting them see it and come to their own conclusion, or in this case, one better, kind of do it themselves.
Like a free sample, too, is another way.
Yep.
So my goal is over those 5 days is to really give them a free sample of what my type of training and nutrition can do for them, to get them results in advance before they pay. Right? So that way, at the end of those 5 days, if they've actually done those 5 days, they should be very excited to continue. So that 5 days is a really important part of the process, because that's really what does the selling. Even though I don't let them buy anything in that period, I want to make sure that they're getting the best results that they possibly can. So at day 6, they're like, okay, what is next? I'm ready for what's next. So they come in and, those emails are a mix of a few things. One, it's the workouts, it's the nutrition, but it's also a lot of branding, and you use the word, indoctrination, making sure that people understand what my training concepts are. I'm introducing them to minimalism. And I think that's really important, is to have a philosophy in your business, or something that people can really get behind. So they get the workouts, they get the nutrition, and every day I'm kind of also mentioning or planting the seed of that thing to come, which in my funnel is a 27-day kettlebell challenge, and this is the paid product. So it's really more of what they just had. It's a more complete version, which makes sense, right? If they test drive this car, that's the car they want, right? So you want to be consistent with what you bring them in with, and also what you ultimately offer. So they go through that 5 days, and I tease them about the 27-day, and I kind of tie it in, and I make sure they're getting results. And of course, there's copy, and there's other elements in there as well that really kind of prime them for the sale.
But when you say you're doing it, you've done that work once, put it into Infusion, which is just a piece of software, and Infusion is delivering it.
Yeah, it's dripped every day. So they get 1 email every day for 5 days. Day 1, they get 2 emails, because they get a welcome email and something like this. And we can put links if anyone wants to see what it looks like, too. And then I have a pre-sale sequence, which is your typical pre-sale launch. So after 5 days, I have another 3 days where you can imagine you take a sales letter and flip it on its side, and it's just divided over 3 days, but you don't let them buy. And I think this is a very important element because a lot of people will go for the sale a little bit too early, I think, before the highest amount of value has been established. So I actually like to put 3 days into my funnel after the initial 5 days to really just sell them on this thing that I'm about to sell them, but without letting them buy. And it's just that it's coming, get ready, it's coming, get ready.
Now, can we talk about that? Because there is a school of thought that says, hey, you miss out by doing that too. But that is something that I don't always do very successfully. So here's where we're going to swap the DNA. I'm going to test this. I'm going to take that and do that. And I'm going to suggest one thing to you too, which is that sometimes we're still probably trying to sell too early. But one of the things we found is that there's always two tracks. There's always somebody that's chomping at the bit to buy.
Yeah.
So we have had great success in saying, here's what you need to know, and kind of doing a little bit of what you're doing. Probably ask you, it's still too soon. So I'm going to test making them wait a little longer. But I'm still going to put the PS in that says, do you already know that you want or need this thing?
Yeah.
Then go here. And the way I guess we could address that is say, when we say, do you really know, do you believe this, this, and this already? Which they'd have to believe to buy and not want a refund.
Right.
So there's one where I'm probably doing something that I could do better than I'm hearing you say, which is I can absolutely understand that making them wait is very useful.
I think there's two really important things here, and the one that you're talking about is absolutely true, which is a layer we put on Spencer's funnel, which I'll describe. And that's that if people are really looking for a solution to the problem, they want to buy now.
Yeah, they don't want to
They're ready to buy now.
Right.
But the other flip side is most people don't know they're ready to buy, and it's your job to make them ready to buy. So the answer is you want to do both. In my funnel, my basic one, I don't have that other step yet. I need to incorporate. This is kind of a new funnel. The one for Spencer is we have immediate upsells when they opt in that they can buy right away.
Right.
So that both elements are in place when they come into the Spencer one. Mine's a little bit deficient right now because it's only making the assumption that they aren't ready to buy, which a number of them are, because the funny thing about the funnel is people will email me on day 5, like, can I have this thing now? And I'll be like, no, you got to wait. Because it's enrolled as a course, too, so it's like it's opening, there's a registration, too. So what I need to do with this funnel is exactly what you need to say. When they opt in, I need to have a way for them to buy right away.
But you're right that if they buy right away without the full value, so I think that you follow that up. Okay, you said you're ready to buy that, but I want to be fair to you, customer. I want to make sure that you believe this, this, and this. Because if we're clear on that, then you are ready to buy. If you're not, I'm going to encourage you to do, like for your own good, I'm going to encourage you to wait another day.
Well, I think there's, you're creating the scarcity by making them wait. And, even though it's an evergreen product, there's that feeling like, oh, the door's open on September 1st or whatever. And that, especially for fitness-related stuff, seems to be very effective when there's a clear open date.
There's a clear open date. It's a registration, open cart, closed cart type of deal. So I'll make them wait, even though. And that's the same with the Spencer funnel, the one-click upsell. We're not letting them buy that primary thing. They have to wait for that. We just sell them other stuff.
Some other thing in the meantime. Yeah.
Protein, for example.
Which may be beneficial because they feel like I've taken a step. But here's the thing: is that could also suppress demand because people sometimes feel when they've taken a step that's all they've got to do.
We've talked about this before, right? You get the dopamine response from buying the diet book, not actually reading the diet book. Right?
And I think that's a huge part. And the truth is part of the reason. And for this funnel, I've had, and it's still an early funnel, I have a 0% refund rate.
That's good. Well, that's
but here's why I think this is true, is because at the end of those 5 days, they know if that thing is going to be worth that amount that they pay.
Right.
Because they just had it for 5 days.
Right.
So it's not, if they would have bought it initially without having that 5-day experience first, their expectations weren't set. I'm sure there would be probably some refunds at this point.
Sure.
But I'm also sure that there's lost sales. So there's always a balance there.
But that's where I was going with this is I wouldn't just abandon my way of doing it and adopt that because I might be losing, but I'll test it. And
I heard something there too that I think would be really useful is we get into like this is why you should do it, this is why you should do it, but your languaging is in such a way where you're asking them to meet the conditions.
Yeah.
And there's that saying like people don't argue with their own data. So the way you've languaged that PS is to bring them to the table. No, I really am ready for this.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And so you've accelerated that for the people where it's probably appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And if they click on that, by the way, what I've found is if you say, well, okay, you've told me you're ready, but I just want to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
So do you meet these other three criteria? And if they answer yes to that, then okay, they're really good to go, and they're not going to refund.
Mm-hmm.
But if they are uncertain, then they're probably still going to buy from you because you say, just hang in there. I'm going to give you 2 more days of stuff, and then you'll know for sure.
Yeah.
Then they're going to feel like they were really dealt with in a very fair way, where you were looking out for their best interest.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the funnel I built with Spencer, as soon as they opt in, they get an offer for his book right away.
Mm-hmm.
Your typical, just pay shipping and handling type of offer. They take that, then they get another offer for the protein right away.
Right away.
Right away.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that alone more than covers our cost of advertising.
So that's key. Let's talk about that again for people who own businesses but maybe haven't been marketing as much and are thinking about taking this plunge, or you've been marketing a certain way and you want to try. Covering all the cost of advertising is like magic. It's a huge wealth builder because it puts you, like everybody else is spending their time, money, and energy doing their advertising, and you're getting it for free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really powerful tool if you could get to that point. I know some people that are making a little bit on the advertising, essentially, but breaking even is powerful. It puts you in a totally different position vis-a-vis your competition.
Yeah, so both of these funnels, Spencer, so it's funny because we built Spencer's first, but launched it second. I built this new 5-day fat furnace. I gotta remember fat furnace, fat flush.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they're so similar because they kind of took the same model for each. In between when I was working on it with Spencer, but launched that first. So it's still missing some of the elements, but I'm like, here's the critical bare essentials that really you need in a successful funnel. And both are doing extremely well. One is just a little bit older than the other, but it's funny because the Spencer with the C, like clearly having those upsells in place makes a very big difference.
But let's talk about that too, because that's part of the everything doesn't have to be perfect before you launch.
Well, that's the point. The other one is still extremely profitable.
Yeah.
I forget last time I checked. For every buck I spend, I'm making somewhere between $3 and $5.
Mm-hmm.
And it's consistently. I just checked before we came over. It's at 4.7% conversion from cold traffic, which if people aren't familiar with, that's very good.
Yeah,
that's very good.
So again, the funnel for the furnace. Is the stripped down one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you got that out there because it was easy to build.
Literally in 3 days, I built this thing and got it out there. And then most of that was just, I was just lazy. I could have done it in 1 day, really.
So I'm launching for one of my partners a new set of reports which are really driving to a new product, which is if somebody is housebound and they need elder law, which is protecting assets from the cost of long-term care, we have not just been able to do very many house calls. So we're now setting up an infrastructure where we can do that. And we can't do it for everybody, but if somebody can't get out, so it's more expensive. I mean, because you're going to have to take paralegals and witnesses and notaries and lawyers are going to you and doing everything that way. But we launched with a very simple process in place. Now, I can think of a million things we could do to improve that. But why spend all the time on that till we see if we're right? Do people even really want this?
Right.
Or are they going to get a van and bring somebody over? Is it worth the extra $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it costs? Is it worth it to them or not?
Well, I think this is a really important point, and we were talking about this the other day. It's it's hilarious because if I were to put my funnel, the basic one, up in some internet marketing forum, people who've never built a funnel and are making $0 would be like, where's your one-click upsell? Where's your self-liquidating offer? Where are your retargeting ads? And, okay, go make your own damn funnel, right? I don't want to get you the expletive. I'm about to explode here because this happens, right? But I hope that people see the point. Is the fact that yes, I'm clearly missing elements of this funnel, but it's still working.
It's working, and I'm actually making money.
Yeah,
and I can always add things on.
And I didn't let the paralysis by analysis get me, which I'm very much prone to that at times. It's just here, good enough is good enough. Let's get it out there. I can shape it up as I move along.
Yeah, and I think people mistake this for I'm being sloppy. Good enough is good enough. What we mean by that, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong for you, but we've got something that stands a chance of working. Could it be better and more elaborate? Yeah, but it would take a long time to build it. Let's just see if this works, if we've made a guess about it.
There's diminishing returns to the time of optimization, right?
Yes.
So it's like as you get closer to perfect, it's going to take longer to get to perfect.
Yep. And we don't know if our underlying assumption is right for the profession. Right.
Yeah.
Whereas once we know that, like you could always add a one-click upsell into your process.
It's easy, and but fundamentally, do you have a good offer is the first thing. So
Sure.
let's find that out as quickly as possible.
Right.
And just having those essentials in place, the opt-in offer, the sales offer, because if those aren't working, yet you spent weeks, months, a year building the most elaborate funnel that you could possibly do, you've just wasted a tremendous amount of time and money. So you have to really figure out, do you have those critical essential pieces in place first before you try to become overly elaborate or ornate with your sales process.
Right. So I'm just taking a break here. I apologize. I was listening to what you're saying, but I was just seeing if there were any questions. No, I was. I could repeat it for you if you like. But so now I've got one more question about that process. At a certain point, you have said the doors are open.
Yep.
And go in. And what happens then is they've got to pay some money, right?
Yes.
So you are processing that electronically, unlike a lot of people watching. Many of them probably are, but you're doing that digitally and on the web. You don't have somebody at the cash register that can talk to them and give them reassurance.
No.
Right. So how do you make sure at that point that they have what they need? And what does your shopping cart look like? So I often see businesses where everything up until here has been fine.
Yep.
And then when somebody goes to order, this stark page comes up where they're not even sure that it's the thing that they were. And now it scares them. And so the shopping cart.
Yeah, I think that's very important. People, when they're about to swipe a credit card, want to feel like it's safe and secure. So you want to make sure you have a good checkout page. So I use, ClickFunnels and Stripe and PayPal primarily, but they're good-looking checkout pages. They're neat, they're clean, they're easy to read. They have the security badges on there, and all of that. So, I mean, I could tell you back in my early years, Sam will attest, we've sold some stuff on some really crappy-looking. Yeah. So you can do it, but again, like, what are you leaving on the table by doing that? So, it's one of those things that I didn't start here, but now that I am here, I can tell you it makes a difference.
And those programs, or for example, ClickFunnels, which lets you build pages and checkout and handles it, not wildly expensive, pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, I think that was like $100 a month or something, and I use that for quite a bit. I use it for my opt-in pages, I use it for my sales pages, I use it for my order forms, I use it also for my membership site. So I definitely get a tremendous amount of value from it, and then I kind of tie it into Infusionsoft through my autoresponder.
So, now, let's just talk about this. You saying 0 refunds after that.
0.
So that usually
now, look, it's still early. We'll see as data continues to come in. But right now, it looks very good.
So,
whereas on the Spencer one, we have had like protein sent back and stuff, right? Mostly because what will happen is the protein is a one-click upsell, and they will click it, but they won't mean to click it, because they bought the book, and then they're like, I actually didn't want the protein. That's really been the only reason for those refunds. We haven't had anybody who bought the protein and tried it and didn't like it and sent it back. It's a delicious protein.
We've actually tried it.
Very good. Yeah, you were the original taste testers. Yeah, people are loving it so far. So
that's awesome. So, Sam, anything you hear in there? I mean, I think we've been kind of reacting to those things as we go. Anything Pat's doing where you want to play?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually something we've talked about. So right now, our test drive, they physically have to come to us, and so it's creating a little bit more of a lower barrier, not necessarily in price threshold, but is there a way that we can enable people to test drive what martial arts is all about online before they have to actually come in? Because there is a high threshold, a high intimidation factor, whether it's for you or your kids, to bring them to this place, right? You got to drive there, and you don't know what the people are going to be like, and what kind of martial arts is.
So can they see some of that and get a feel that it's. So one of the things I noticed on Amazon was they have this. Have you seen these dash buttons yet? It's brand new.
I haven't seen it.
They send you a little piece of plastic that has a button on it, and it's for a series of products where there's going to be recurring revenue from it, right? So you might say, like, well, why don't you just do subscription? There are probably people that will do this and have this physical thing that won't do subscription. But every time you just push that button, so I bought a chocolate powder, wasn't a protein powder, but you could mix it in with other things. And it said, hey, would you like one of these? It's $4.95, but you get a $4.95 credit. The first time you push the button, you just got it for free. So what they're doing is eliminating a barrier to reordering, you know, which is Amazon's whole direction.
So instead of doing subscribe and save, where they send it to you every 4 weeks,
which people are afraid of.
Right. They don't want that. As soon as I need it, you just press the easy button.
Yeah. And so what's going to happen there, I think, is people who really probably should subscribe, but are like, I've subscribed to things before and I have a closet full of this stuff. They're going to say, I'm going to take that. A number of them will fall off. They won't push the button or they'll wait till too late, but a number of them will use it. And then what will happen is they'll have all the data on how fast they're actually using it, and they'll be able to customize subscription, is my guess. But here's the point for you guys, is that what Sam's doing is kind of what Amazon is doing, or what you're contemplating doing.
Right.
What can I do to eliminate a barrier to them coming in and buying, so that by the time they get to you, which is what you've done with this, hold on, just wait. Hold on to your pants. Like you may be ready for us. We're not ready for you yet. You're doing the same thing, but in a very different way, making it so that the people that present to you, like the people that actually opt in, are going to be way more likely to buy and stay.
Right.
So any ideas? Like one that leaps to my mind is playing off something you said. You could go on these videos and say we're great, but having videos that show people saying you're great or behave or like doing stuff with a giant smile on their face says everything. It's kind of like a cross between testimonial, other people saying it, and demonstration.
Yeah.
So are you thinking about videos where they can see it?
Yeah, so that's where we're developing that content right now. So we have a lot of the testimonial where it's, you know, the parent or the student, meaning the adult student, on the video. So what we've done is we've come up with a series of, you know, select kids with permission. So we're interviewing those kids and having them talk directly to, you know, why they wanted to start, what they like about it, how their experiences changed. It needs to be prompted because these kids are anywhere between like 7 and 12.
Right.
But the idea of, you know, the parents seeing, oh, here's a kid that dealt with bullying. My son is dealing with bullying. Here's a kid that might be, you know, struggled at sports, but they're thriving in martial arts. So to pick those different pain points and show success in the children and, you know, do the highlight reel of them in class and everything too.
Something I might suggest along those lines too is asking them specifically before you came in, what were you thinking? What were you worried about? And then having them say like, well, I was afraid that people would welcome me. But then people welcome me with open arms. Or Sam is scary as all get out, especially when he has the terrorist beard. Which I noticed you had a giant beard, which was like probably in a day's growth, and now you're totally clean shaven.
I can have it tomorrow.
You can have that back. So just something to think about there is if you've, in questioning them, found out what they said worried them before that turned out not to be a worry, having something that addresses that. That's like addressing the elephant in the room.
Right.
Really good. So, Sam, anything that's working particularly well for you that we can sort of jump on and use in our
business? I'm doing the same types of stuff. Primarily we're using digital marketing and Facebook to drive leads.
No print or direct mail for you guys?
Very little.
Valpak.
Yeah, we're just in like the Clipper coupon type magazines and mailers, just to be there. But most of our leads are coming through Facebook.
Interesting.
The other business that we're doing, the mastermind business, what's working well for us is really cultivating not just the Facebook ads, but the Facebook groups. Delivering content through live video in those groups, which generates interest in our mastermind and coaching.
So we didn't talk about that because we were focused on something, but you're doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, the groups are really interesting, and it's hard because it's one of those things that it's sometimes hard to quantify exactly. I just ran a sale, the old cash machine sale, and if anybody's familiar with that framework, we could
talk about that.
Discuss it. But again, I can't tell you how many sales came from it, but I mean, just the interaction, the group of people just celebrating that and saying, this is such a great sale. Like, thank you so much for offering this. Like, I just picked it up, and just them that definitely prompted more sales, just that interaction. And again, like, I don't have the data to say it was this much percentage more, but it's there. It's definitely there. And
so what you're saying is you guys have groups
Mhm.
on Facebook, which are either closed or open groups.
yeah,
People join them,
Right.
and then word gets out either by design or just people commenting on it in these groups saying, hey, there's a great sale running, or that's happening,
yeah.
and you get response from that.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I didn't want the word to get out specifically for this because it was a sale just supposed to be to my email subscribers. That was the point of the sale was, hey, thank you for being an email subscriber. And then people started talking about it in the group, and then there were some people in the group who weren't on my email list. They're like, where's the sale? Where's the sale? I'm like, oh, you can get on my email list. So, I mean, those ones you can easily quantify.
Mm-hmm.
But another way you can certainly do it is you can prompt it in the group as well and just kind of spur the interaction there.
So you can tell them that it is for them. I mean, legitimately, you can do something for the group.
Just for the group, yep, and you can encourage testimonials in the group, which are huge. I think the groups are as good as you're willing to make them. If you can really nurture the group, and I have some people like Alyssa and my wife like really help the interaction, and so you only have so many hours.
That's really key.
Like, you only have so many hours in a day. You
can build this group, but somebody needs to keep it churning and getting people interacting, because otherwise, we've seen groups wither and die.
They come and die in this group, but there's also a point where like it will reach that momentum, and then it will start to carry itself, which is really cool. But you have to make sure that you're constantly, applying the kindling or whatever you need to get that interaction going. So we have that. It's called the Pat Flynn's Secret Group.
Right, I'm actually in that.
You're part of it, yeah. So you see the interaction.
Yep,
it's really good. People posting pictures and photos and videos, and
that one strikes me that it's reached kind of critical mass. Like there's a lot more coming from your members than from you.
Yes, well, I'm actually pretty scarce in that group. I get in, I make sure that I spend time there. That is still important.
Mm-hmm.
But it sustains itself without me, which is important.
But let's talk about that, because people think like, oh, that's free. That's free for me to set up a closed or open Facebook group. But it isn't free.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to spend time putting content up, and you're going to have to spend time applying the kindling until it sort of takes off. And that, for most businesses, not an instantaneous thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of resources go into that. So, I mean, I would want to talk to a bunch of businesses, not necessarily in my own industry again.
Right.
What is, like, if I were going to do an Indiegogo campaign, I would go talk to some companies that had done a really successful one, because my guess is you talk to 2 or 3 of them, you're going to see some things that they did. Same here with Facebook groups. I would want to talk to people that have early, pretty fast success with them, and then sustained it, because it's not free.
It's not.
It's not.
And I think if I can give one hint, is like, make sure you're giving them something to talk about in the group. And, a lot of these people in the group are, pretty much all of them the majority of them are my customers, because they get in a group after they buy a program. The program says join the
so they can talk about it. Yeah.
And that's what happens, is they will be talking about the workouts in the programs, and then they'll invite a friend or whatever. So people will join the group who aren't customers, but then they'll see them talking about these workouts, like, oh, I just did Pat Flynn's 10-minute workout. It was gruesome. And then, so I'm making sure that when I design these workouts, I'm giving them cool names and cool objectives, so the people in the group have something to talk about, and they have something to post and write about. And that also is kind of an exciting thing for anybody who does find their way into the group. If they weren't a customer before, they're at least now intrigued to potentially become one.
By the way, we should just say hi to Bill Schindler, who was on too. Just said hello to us. So.
Hello, Bill.
Hey, Bill. Sam, anything else that's leaping to mind as a strong, positive, something that's really working for you, either on the mastermind side or at your gym?
No, I mean, we're doing a lot of similar things. Like I said, nurturing the group has been good for growing that mastermind group. One thing that we identified early was the people joining our group are similarly people that have had experience with either coaching or masterminds, and there was something that they were unsatisfied with their previous consulting experience, and just really identifying it and delivering those pieces of content that's actionable for them that they were looking for.
And those are folks in the martial arts gym world.
Correct. So these are other martial arts school owners. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. They've had maybe a negative experience or a less than satisfying experience from coaching or something. but they're not totally discouraged by it.
Right.
They're looking. So, are you doing any kind of advertising that addresses that? Like, one of the things when we find a problem like that, we'll sometimes test advertising, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But when it works like gangbusters, which is, have you had this experience and it was unsatisfactory? Do you want to know about a solution that does it in a different way?
Mm-hmm.
Because in a way, again, it's real honesty with people,
right?
And it shows that you've tapped into and understand.
Mm-hmm.
What's something I want to ask both of you guys that I came across recently, and I thought it was brilliant. I want to give credit where credit is due here, so it'll come to me. But whoever it was talking about working with realtors and saying realtors are always looking at the wrong place. They try to find a niche. This kind of like what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
They try to fit into it. But he was saying one of the best things that he ever did in working with realtors was to create a report on what's your house worth in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is the thing that signals somebody's thinking about it,
right,
who will become a buyer or a seller. They haven't decided to buy or sell yet.
Yeah.
So that you're getting them at this case before everybody else is paying attention to them.
Right.
And so that, yes, this is a little bit different than you, where you're getting them when they've decided, they've already committed to it, but they decided, I'm going further with kettlebells.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's saying, if we wait till that long, they've already been contacted by 10 realtors. It'd be too late.
Yeah.
So in this case, we've got to get them before they make that decision, when everybody descends on them. And then we're in that little window and we're giving them really important information before they're really ready. But the minute they go over the edge, we're already there.
Yeah.
So is there anything like that for either of you guys? Because I read this yesterday. I started thinking, what is it that causes that in my world? You know, like what is a precursor to somebody deciding to do estate planning? Like what would I look at? In your case?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because they're so different. You know, the person who starts a diet usually starts another one in 2 weeks. Whereas, you know, if you're buying a new house or a new car, it's a lot less frequent than that. So you have to think about, where are you going to pick this person up? So I can rely on the fact that most people who start a fitness program or a diet plan are typically bored with it and looking for another one usually within 30 days. Mm-hmm. And if they've previously bought one, then, you know, buying behavior will suggest that they will buy another one. So
but you have to figure out how to keep them from getting bored with yours.
Well, exactly, yeah, and that's just where you just make better programs, right? And you also make ongoing programs and things like that. And there's a lot to be said with how I structure my programs. I do a lot of challenges and things like that to keep them inherently motivating and moving from one challenge to the other to make sure that there's continuity and congruency. And I'm not just saying, oh, here's a 6-month plan, good luck, because nobody's ever going to get through that. And I think that goes into a lot of the art of programming and coaching in general. Mm-hmm. But it's also very important of how that blends with your marketing and sales too. They're mutually compatible, really. So yeah, I think they're just different. I think, you know, the buying behavior and fitness and nutrition is way different than it would be, obviously, for estate planning.
Which has a longer timeline to it, or selling your house, which is a longer timeline.
When you frame it that way, something that we're doing is kind of similar to that for the martial arts school, where our 2 best performing lead magnets, one is a bully prevention report.
I heard you saying that. I was thinking that's what triggered this thought.
And the other is the back to school success workbook. Neither of which really have anything to do with martial arts yet.
But they're in the brain of somebody who's likely to become a buyer.
People like us, well, you think martial arts right away because we've been in it so much, but like our lead magnets, it's not like, hey, the 10 martial arts moves you need to teach your kid to do better at school.
Well, you're focusing on a problem.
It has nothing to do with martial arts. It's just, hey, here's our free back to school success workbook. You know, they've been out of routine all summer. Here's how to get them waking up early again, eating right, you know, planning their day, how to do their homework, all those things that are involved with getting back into school. And then the other is the bully prevention report, which does hit a real pain point.
But I think that's when you said that, that's actually what triggered me to go down this rabbit hole. Is I think that's exactly what this. How much is the house worth in your area?
This is, you know, get an appraisal for your kid.
Yeah, you're getting them. You're right. You're getting them early when they're just likely to begin to think about what are the solutions to this problem that I have. So I like that. So Miraculously, the hour is up, but we've been disrespectful of our audience's time before.
Yeah,
so just
that's
a
true.
quick routinely. No, we're usually pretty good about ending on time or within a minute or two. But just quickly, anything that anybody has going on that's really not working, so we could do just a quick demo of that. And I can't tell you if this new, like we're like you. We've been really fine tuning the stuff that's out there now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing that's not working. We maybe haven't optimized it.
Mm-hmm.
But this new program, I'm in the weird position where it's just launching. Tomorrow people will start to see things. So we don't know what's not working there yet. But either you guys have anything where you're saying this is a problem, it's been a little intractable, and maybe we have something going on in our businesses that could help?
Yeah, I mean, just back to building any of those funnels, specifically the one that I've done with Spencer's, we had stuff not work every step along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Every step along the way. And like where we are now is just because we fixed those problems.
As you went, yeah.
I mean, the most recent one was just a price test. We just adjusted some prices, and now like it's 10 times better than what it was before.
So interesting question.
Yeah.
Did you go up or down?
We went down.
To get
We went
better
down.
performance. Yeah.
We went from super premium to premium.
Mm-hmm.
So we went down. So again, don't always believe all this stuff about like the premiumist pricing is the best. It's only testing will tell you what's the best.
Well, what I could say is the best is looking at margin too. Like the people are only going to pay what they the perceived value. So doing things that helps to build the perceived value and the real value, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like I'm presenting this a better way. That's important. But from your standpoint, as the person selling, you could have much better margins in a sometimes lower priced product, depending on what you have to do for it.
Yeah.
So again, super premium for me might mean a lot more of my individual attention rather than things that we can build that are really useful to clients where either other team members can do it or there's some element of automation. Yeah. But those products may be way lower margin in the end.
Yeah, I mean, just to give an example, the Super Premium was kind of a coaching program, and we were fine. It was like about a 1.5 ROI just on that. So it was profitable. Then we switched to a premium course, but no coaching. And now it's over 3x. So, just something that it wasn't not working, but it wasn't working as well as we wanted it to. And then we just made a slight adjustment, and now it's working a lot better.
Have you shared with him? Has he read that Confessions of a Pricing Man?
We've talked about it.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, super good. So we'll put the link up once. Yeah. So we managed, by the way, I just want to point this out to everybody, to survive a show without Alex here.
Or Leslie.
Yeah. And we started on time and we ended on time. Basically.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody, this has been great. Thank you very much. Pat, awesome having you here.
Pleasure,
This was a lot of fun. Some thank you. Yeah. And so let us know anytime if something is going on that you want to report on for these folks. Let us know. And we'll get the URLs from you that we'll put in the show notes too.
Sure. Sounds good.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Adios.
Now they get to see me stand up because Leslie's not here.
Click the button.
Around. Yeah. But we're still on, so no wild profanity. Yeah, no triggering.
We don't need the explicit rating here. I think we made it.
Yeah, well, so far so good, but there's still till we close this out here. Tom, you have younger eyes.
Power cord. Oh no, it's battery operated.
So this is you're gonna get a. So we have to. Leslie left us a note
instruction
that says when the show is over. Oh, Tucker's in the shot. Excellent. Go to Facebook first and hit end live show in Facebook rather than on there. I like that we're talking about it while we're live on the air. Yeah. It'll prompt you twice to end the show. Make sure you hit end. Where's my end button? So we did so well up until now. I might be able to. Oh, I can do it on here probably. Huh?
Fix it in post.
Yeah, all of that is fixed.
So we did so well up until now. I might be able to. Oh, I can do it on here probably.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, all of that.
So we're still
we did so well up until now. I might be able to. Oh, I can do it on here probably.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, all of that.
So we're still
we did so well up until now.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, all of that.
So Tucker's helping out too.
Oh, jeez. this so I can actually read it.
Hello, everybody.
We're still
We're
here.
still here. Just trying to say goodbye.
Get to.
All right.
See, another reason just to do the little.
Just use the camera. So how do I shut this off?
Now, see, we're getting viewers staying just to watch us struggling with it, which is funny. Let me see if I can do it here.
Yeah.
Because we are absolutely still live.
Hey, everybody. We're still here. We're still live?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's just close it in OBS, despite her. Despite Leslie's very serious demands in giant print.